think we've already seen a lot of your people be, or a lot of the business manufacturing shipped overseas, and manufacturing is a key foundation to this country. So, Mr. Jones, I wanted to start out. I'll ask a fellow Georgian a question. You said in your testimony that the problems for your industry are larger than the automotive crisis, and I'd like for everybody to answer this, but where do you see other segments of U.S. manufacturing headed? Because to me, manufacturing has been hit harder than anybody else with job loss and really company loss. So I'd like to hear your answer to that.
Thank you, Congressman. As I mentioned, Dixie Industrial Finishing has had to replace 100% of its sales within the last 10 years. And the reason for that is the exodus of manufacturing in our region to other parts of the world, whether it be to Mexico or whether it be with manufacturers importing their product that they previously manufactured domestically, importing from China or India or other low-cost producing countries that don't have the same regulatory requirements that we have. They don't have the structural costs that we have. They don't have the tort. They don't have the taxes. They don't have the health care. They don't have the regulatory. They don't have the energy costs that we have. So consequently, we're having to deal with them going elsewhere and us trying to find new business. Well, where's our new business coming from? Our new business is coming from those in our industry that have suffered far greater than we have by closing their doors. And that's where we have been able to pick up some business. We've also been able to do a lot of things to keep some business here and allow some of our customers to be able to compete on the world market through innovation and technology by productivity improvements. We have one product that we process that over the last 7 to 8 years to help one of our customers, we have increased productivity by over 300%. On other products, we've had as much as 200% and some 100%. So we're constantly investing. We're constantly looking at new technologies. We're constantly doing things to try to protect our customer base and protect the jobs here in the U.S. and try to keep them from going elsewhere. Other times, we can't do anything about it.
Now, let me ask you this. Is that due to bad trade agreements? Is it due to regulation, environmental, and as you mentioned, I guess labor laws? Has that led to part of it? Or is it just bad trade deals, or what's causing that?
I think that it's probably a combination of many. On the regulatory side, on our wastewater treatment, the water that we use for our processes and our environmental controls, we spend right at 10% of our sales dollar on regulatory issues. A gallon of water costs us 0.008 cents per gallon to purchase it. When it goes out our door after we've treated it, we tack another 3.9 cents per gallon onto that gallon of water. That is a cost that's associated. We have other things that we're looking at that we're having to face with some of our trading partners is certainly low wages, no regulatory. They have unfair trade practices such as currency manipulation. There are other issues as far as government subsidies on items that they export to the U.S. So these are some of the items that are affecting manufacturing domestically.
Any of you other gentlemen on the panel would like to address that?
Yes, sir. I think it goes along with what we mentioned earlier about the problem with dealing overseas and even some of the American trading partners of ours where we have the inability to compete and the risk of upsetting the chairwoman again. We have to do something with the taxes. We are 25% behind the 8 ball starting. Most of that is tax or import duties or things like that. Add the federal situation, most of the states are hurting. So what is the state going to do? They're going to be doing the taxes and the counties and so on. And by the time you get done, there's just nothing left for anyone to do. And your margins are so small to be competitive, it really becomes very, very difficult. And then you add the health care issue, which I mentioned earlier to it, which we all want to do. I mean, that's one of those things that we feel strong about. It becomes a very, very difficult situation. So I do think that we have a short-term problem, which we've kind of addressed here about how do we get cash infusion, how do we keep people alive for the next 5-6 months. But we really do have a long-term problem in America on manufacturing in that we are kind of forgetting about how we got where we got to. And if we don't look into it, a lot of these industries are going to end up being forced. I have one gentleman in my association who last year had 580 people. This year he has 210. He had 4 plants. He now has 1. And unfortunately, the 1 plant manufacturing is in China. And that's just the nature of the beast. So we need to really look seriously about that once we get out of the hole we're in right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam